Welcome to the Fashion Translator. I'm Claire, your host. Together we explore how AI and innovation are reshaping the fashion industry through creativity, technology, and global partnership. For today's episode, I'm excited to welcome Janice Tam, co-founder of TrueToForm, a platform focused on improving fit accuracy through data and technology, helping brands make more informed decisions around sizing and product development. Janice, thank you for joining me today. Could you start by sharing a bit more about yourself and what led you to build TrueToForm?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Janice. I'm the co-founder and CEO of TrueToForm. We are a body scanning and size prediction platform that helps brands measure customers remotely, provide 3D fit predictions on their e-commerce websites, and also make their size charts more accurate over time.
So tell us a bit more about what is the core mission of TrueToForm?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal is really to help brands serve their customers better and ensure that the right fit is purchased the first time. My co-founder and I were actually sisters, so we're both 5'1", quite petite, and have a hard time finding clothes that fit us. So we have a personal passion for solving this problem. And post-COVID, there was a huge boom in e-commerce. And so we saw that this problem of sizing and fit was not going to go away. It was only going to become more and more important and really has a big impact for brand and retailer bottom line. So our focus is really helping those brands, first of all, increase conversion, helping customers have more confidence in size selection when shopping on their site. Of course, reduce fit-related returns, which fit is one of the biggest drivers, the biggest driver of returns for apparel online. And then also have a longer term strategy when it comes to improving sizing from their size standards and size charts over time.
So you mentioned that sizing and fit mistake is the biggest reason for return, right? So would you say that this is where you see the biggest opportunity for your platform to come in?
Yes, absolutely. At this time, in our space of apparel e-commerce, we see brands have anywhere between 30, 40, 50 sometimes percent returns on their e-commerce websites. So obviously this is a really big impact and really hurting their margins when selling online. So we know a number of brands have whole teams focused specifically on improving that percentage. How can we reduce that return percentage? On the flip side, it's also about translating sizing and fit from the earliest stages of that customer experience. So as a shopper, when you go to a brand's website for the first time, you may not have kind of tried on their clothing in store at a retailer before if they're a digitally native brand. And one of the biggest concerns and hesitations to purchase has to do with sizing as well. So we want to make it easy for brands when they go shop on that brand site to understand how that brand's sizing will fit on their body shape and have confidence that that size is going to fit the first time. We do that by providing a 3D avatar visualization of the customer. They can either enter their own measurements or take a scan if they don't know their measurements. We create a full 3D body model that represents their body shape based on thousands of actual body scan data. And we predict how that garment is going to fit on them. So at key landmarks of their body based on the size charts for that brand. So bust, waist, hip, for example, but also showing visually how that garment is going to hit in terms of hem length. So the sleeve length where it's going to hit on their arm, where the dress, for example, might fit and hit on their body shape. These visual indicators are really what are important in terms of giving shoppers that confidence that the product's going to fit them.
I think this really connects with this direction and this need for inclusivity and body positivity to be able to connect humans of different size and shape and height and body type to get them what they need and what they seek and what often is hard to achieve. If the clothes are made to be serving from XX small to 3X plus, that's already a good step. But then after, for the consumer to actually be able to understand which one will fit, that's really the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you bring up a great point, which is this point about sustainability and inclusivity in the fashion industry. We see a lot of emerging brands really focused on this point. We see brands that are focused on a very specific target demographic. Let's say it's petite men, petite women,
Mm.
or big and tall men's, or curvier women. And the struggle with those markets is there's not a lot of data around what those body shapes look like. So
Mm.
at the end of the day, the size charts that the brands are coming out with are oftentimes just educated guesses at best, or often
Yeah,
people are creating brands just using themselves as their fit model, which represents their
correct.
standards, like size medium or size 6 or size small, and then proportionally making the sizes bigger or smaller based on that one fit model they're using. The struggle with that is now you have built out a size chart, but it's only a best guess and it's not even accurate. So the
Mm.
first step is, okay, let's say a customer does actually go through the process of measuring themselves, follows your size chart perfectly. They could still end up with a return and with a
Yeah,
frustration that it didn't fit. That first kind of interaction with the customer and the brand is so emotionally important. If you don't have a good first experience with the brand,
yeah,
you could very well walk away and never try it again. And
correct.
so, what we are able to do for the first time is give brands access to individual level customer measurement information
Mm.
to improve the size chart accuracy over time and actually match it to what
Right.
their target demographic actually looks like.
So that will build like a database that they'll be able to adjust their fit and actually, what I'm perceiving is that it can save them seasons and years of nailing down the right fit, you know. And this is really something that when you're an emerging brand and you're starting, it's expensive, you know, even investing in pattern maker and fit technician. This, I feel, is often something that even startups don't foresee, you know, like they'll be doing the designs and then they'll work with their factories. But this level of fit, and which is really garment engineering, you know, if you want, because you're turning something from 2D to 3D. It's extremely complex. It's an extremely complex world. And it can be often what makes a startup like it's either hit or miss, you know, if on your first round you're really off, the impact can be huge.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something that historically only the largest brands have had access to are these
Correct.
static large databases of actual body shape and size, whether
Mm.
it's like scan databases, these are $100,000 to purchase. And it's a static data set. It's not segmented based on your particular qualities within your demographic. And so it's not
Mm-hmm.
particularly targeted. It's also very
Yeah,
limited to
yeah.
specific geographies. And so obviously just way out of budget for an emerging brand or even a medium-sized brand. And then beyond the purchase of the data set themselves, to your point, you need people who are trained in actually running the analysis on the data and creating a data-driven size chart from that. And let's say you have all those pieces. Let's say you purchase the data set, you have the data technician team to run the analysis, and you're able to create a size chart. Even then, it's static. And unfortunately, right, like the customer demographic is constantly evolving. And so you're just
Yes.
not able to keep up unless you do that whole process every couple of years or pretty quickly. So we're
Correct.
just trying to
Yeah.
democratize access to that data and just make it dynamic and accessible to every brand.
I can definitely see that giving like a head start for the brands that would invest in this and that would basically leverage technology and leverage True to Form to get them a bit closer to the consumer, to bridge the gap between the time that they're conceiving the collection and putting together the product till when it reached to the customer.
That's right.
And if we think about, because now that we're on the topic of technology and everything that technology and AI can do for us, what's your perspective? If we think about how brands should be approaching fit and adjustment with the balance between technology and still keeping this human genius?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of organizations are kind of racing to adopt AI into their organizations, and there's a few obvious places where they're able to do that. And a lot of those are, those chat bots, customer service bots that kind of get answers to customers pretty quickly. That being said, I do think there is a balance. I think there is definitely a future of agentic commerce where you're kind of chatting with a human-like AI that kind of walks you through what might be some recommendations for you. And so I definitely see a future where something like TrueToForm is integrated, all of our data and things like that are integrated across a number of different entry points. Right
Mhm.
now, of course, we're compatible with any website builder, whether it's like Shopify, WooCommerce, custom websites. And our main entry point is on the product detail page. But certainly in the future, there's opportunities for brands to leverage our APIs and our more flexible integration options in order to more seamlessly build it into other places like chatbots and AI agents. I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be some sort of human element when it comes to fit, for example. I think there's still going to have to be some sort of person who is QCing the like fitting
Yeah,
experience and making
yeah, for
sure
sure.
that the data is being interpreted properly. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you as a shopper, you do want to be able to get in touch with the human. So I think it's an interesting challenge to navigate.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. It's interesting today. It's gonna be interesting tomorrow and in 1 year for sure. So walk us through the process. Let's say a brand signed with True to Form today. What can they be expected to be walked through? Tell us a bit more about how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a suite of different offerings within our platform. So depending on if you are a made-to-measure brand or a ready-to-wear brand providing standard sizes, we have different products catered to solve for sizing and fit for your customers. If you are a ready-to-wear brand providing standard sizes on your website, when you integrate with us, we provide 3D fit predictions through a widget that's installed on your product detail page. So when shoppers go and click into one of your product pages, they'll see a button that says, see how this fits on you. And
Okay.
they'll be able to click into that and create their own 3D avatar from either entering their measurements or taking a body scan using our award-winning body scanning application. The scanning software doesn't require an app download, so it launches straight from your internet browser from a smartphone or a tablet without an app download. And you can go ahead and rotate in place over the course of 10 seconds while our scan captures your over 60 different measurements and uses that to provide a size prediction. We know the scanning system is not for everyone, so it's very helpful if you don't have a tape measure at home or if you don't know your measurements, you're not trained to take your
Yeah,
own measurements. But we also do
exactly.
have the other option to enter your own measurements if you prefer. So either way,
Mhm.
you get a full 3D size prediction as your results page. It gives you your best size recommendation, but it also allows you to toggle between different sizes so you can see how the different garment lengths hit on your body in the different
Uh-uh.
sizes.
Because if you take some, like, let's say you can have two women that have exactly the same measurement, but some would prefer to have the t-shirt a bit more snug, where one would prefer
Exactly.
relaxed. So that's very useful.
That's exactly right. And with the older tools that have historically been used, it's been kind of like a black box. Hey, like your best size is a size medium and just trust us. Unfortunately, those tools didn't take into account a number of things. It didn't necessarily take into account the brand sizing, didn't take into
Mm.
account the customer individual sizing, and they also don't take into account the customer preference in terms of
Yeah.
how they want that style to fit on their body shape. We take all of that and we make it available to the customer so they can choose what size best fits not just their body shape, but also their style preference. When you hit select size, it auto selects the size on the page for you and makes it easy for that shopper to then check out. And then the nice thing is that your size is then saved. So when you
Mm.
browse new products, your size will automatically update with every product you browse. And not every style and every product is going to have the same size chart. So
Yeah.
when you shop and you go from a different category, let's say from tops to bottoms, or from one line of t-shirts to maybe a line of sweaters, the size prediction tool will auto update using the sizing information we have on the back end for that particular style.
That's pretty seamless and very useful, both for the brand and the consumer end. I'm also thinking, like, would there be a potential to include this kind of to integrate this with platforms that are multi-brand? Because this is also something that is a struggle for the consumer when they go on websites that are carrying multi-brand, and then a medium is then not the same thing from brand to brand, and it can get complicated very fast.
Yes, a number of our largest brand partners are e-commerce retailers that are
Oh,
retailers of hundreds of different brands. And you can imagine that it is a nightmare, not just on the back end in terms of organizing all the sizing data across the different brands, but also
yeah.
very confusing for the customer that's shopping the same URL website, but is
Correct.
finding maybe 500 different size charts. So what we
Yeah.
do is we just make that way easier to interpret for the customer. So the sizing tool will auto update based on the brand specific sizing information for that style.
Revolutionary. I think that was long awaited in the industry.
Mhm.
So, if we think about your business, which area has most of or your focus right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, we initially started in the custom and made to measure space where brands use our body scanning application as a method of measuring their customers remotely in order to
Mm-hmm.
expand their reach beyond a brick and mortar location. This was started,
Oh,
of course, post-COVID, there's a desperate need for remote fitting tools, and that's where a lot of our business still is. But we recently have launched into the ready-to-wear space for standard sizing, and we're expanding our business there in this next phase. Our R&D team is constantly working to improve the robustness of our scanning system. So any improvements that's made to our underlying technology has a positive impact for both our made to measure business as well as ready to wear. What I think is really exciting though in the future is that feedback loop that's helpful for brand partners. So not only are we
yeah,
helping e-commerce teams with increased conversions and reduced returns, but now we're also helping product development and design teams as well because we're providing them
yeah.
automatic inputs into our sizing tool that will automatically make the sizing tool smarter over time based on the
Mm.
customer measurements that we're collecting through the system with every order.
Mm-mm. It will learn on itself and then stay kind of like, because like you mentioned, this is something that is ever changing. So
Mhm.
to have this evolving with consumer behavior and consumer body shape, that's also very valuable. And if you
Mhm.
could automate one aspect of your business, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. We actually have started really implementing AI agents across our organization. So
Mm-hmm.
it is in a number of areas, this automation, and I think that's definitely the future to make things more efficient and make our teams
Yeah,
more and more productive. So
correct.
I would say it's not just one area that we're trying to automate. We're automating across the organization, whether it comes from like sales and prospecting. I think everybody is kind of using kind of AI tools and AI agents there to automate things, but
Yeah.
also in terms of like straightforward engineering tasks,
Mm-hmm.
as well as design and product development. I think there's some really powerful design tools out there that just kind of give our design team like wings to fly, essentially, just like make them much more productive. And so we're really excited about that.
There's already a lot of exciting tools available, and every day and every month there's more that are coming our ways. And when leveraged properly, there's so much power, and so it can be so much fun also in all the areas to play with that and explore. So thinking about the future, you mentioned one of the things that is to keep an eye on for the future is that the feedback loop. But tell us a bit
Yes.
more about your vision. Let's say in the next 2 to 3 years, what are some of things you're growing towards or that you envision?
Yeah, so we hope to be part of the sizing equation for every purchase that happens online that relates to a wearable. So obviously apparel is the largest category in wearables. So for any garment that's purchased online, whether you're purchasing a custom suit and connect your TrueToForm account to get a body scan to send in your measurements, we extract over
Mm,
60 measurements from every scan.
right.
Or you're purchasing a ready-to-wear garment and you're connecting to your TrueToForm account to give you a detailed 3D size prediction and also see how that product's going to fit on your body shape. I think that's really the goal for our team is to be really connected, almost like a shop pay or something like that, where we're at the point of purchase for every wearable online.
Well, Janice, there's a bright future ahead, both for you, your sister, and the brand. We'll make sure to keep an eye and to stay in touch. For the listener who would also want to connect, all the handle and all the links will be in the description. Janice, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Claire Liss. This has been fantastic. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening.